This show is brought to you by Kings Ridge Elderberry Farm. Visit tkrfarm.com. That's the Kings Ridge Farm, tkrfarm.com, and purchase your elderberry needs from the Kings Ridge Elderberries. Use code WB10, that's Waterbreak WB10, for 10% off of your first order. And as kind of a personal anecdote here, me and my wife have used this elderberry cocktail that they make. It's fantastic, and our kids love it. In fact, our kids are putting it in yogurt and all sorts of things. And we've had other flavors before that we've not liked, and the cocktail that they put together for their elderberry juice is fantastic. Go to tkrfarm.com and support them. Hey y'all, welcome to Waterbreak. It's good to be with you. I'm your host, Waterboy. This is the Water Girl. Very grateful that you guys are tuning in, and most of you will probably be listening to this episode while you're traveling to our Waterbreak Summit. So hope to see a number of you there on really Friday and Saturday. We can't wait to see you guys. Waterbreak Summit is our first one, and we're very excited to be doing it. And we got Joel Green and Dr. Tabitha, Dr. Anthony, Ben Greenfield. We got a lot of good stuff going on. So hope you guys have a good trip. We'll see you at the summit on Friday and Saturday. With that said, no major announcements. With anything, today we're gonna talk about a specific email we got from a listener. You will know who you are. Thank you for emailing us. Yeah. Appreciate it.
We're not supposed to say names.
No names. It'll be
we say names sometimes.
Billy Joe.
We say names
from
sometimes.
the Northwest.
We've done it. We've said names a lot of times.
Yes.
I don't think they care.
Okay. Maybe don't say the last name.
Sure.
Well, there you go.
Is that fine?
Yeah. Becky.
There we go.
Becky.
She sent us an email a while ago, and it was very in-depth and really good. And I need to email you now, Becky, to tell you that we're answering your...
Yeah.
We're answering your...
This is our way of answering your email.
Yeah. Well, and we just thought...
This was long.
But good questions. And this would make a good show. So, that's what we're doing. Great questions.
I've strategically structured the studio this week to where my wife is here and March Madness is there. So March Madness.
Gosh, it feels like you're looking at me.
Great.
Not
yeah,
really.
It looks like it. Yeah.
You guys, he's obsessed with March.
Best sporting month of the year.
He will bring his phone in the shower.
Can't do that.
Yes, you will. You'll prop it up so that when you're in the shower, you're watching.
Yeah, on the far side of the wall.
He's on the shower.
Long shower. So
I can hear the game.
Yeah. Best sporting month of the year. Right now, there's 8 games going on per day right now.
You'll watch while you're driving, which is very unsafe. You'll have a game on. Mm-hmm. It's so bad. Oh, yeah, he's obsessed. He made me fill out. We got married. Our anniversary is March 11th, so we got married over spring break. And
2005, she filled out her first bracket.
He made me fill out a bracket on our honeymoon.
Yep. It was good. It's fantastic. I can't believe you still remember that story.
I just remember being okay, I don't care about this that much.
Yep, and we all do handwritten brackets in my family, and then we put them in a tournament portal and ESPN.
Oh gosh, some years I fill one out, but other years I grew up watching the NBA. I have fond memories watching the old school Chicago Bulls and stuff. My dad liked it, and so we liked it.
Old school NBA was good.
Old school NBA was good, and I really enjoyed that. But I never really got into college, even though I know that's where the better basketball is. Yeah. And it's just hard for me. And then when you try to make me fill out a bracket, I'm literally well, you're just guessing. You're just guessing based
because you haven't paid on
their colors. Yeah, I haven't watched any games. I don't.
But she still almost beats me every year at bracket.
Well, because we know what that tells you is that bracketology, isn't that a thing? Is just pure luck. I don't think
that's why the tournament's so good.
Duke
almost got upset.
If I'm doing better than you in the bracketology, then that tells you there is no skill involved. It's just
no skill.
There's probably just too many. Well, how is that possible if I was beat you? It has to just be there's too many upsets. There's too many upsets. It's not predictable. Well, it seemed that way.
It's part of the fun.
Well, it just feels like a waste. I go off of the colors and the names that I like the most. Anyways, you ready to go?
Yep, let's get started.
Okay, once again, can't see out of this eye. I have contact problems, you guys. Okay, so Becky wrote this a while ago and beginning of March. Okay, not that long, beginning of March. Great questions. I'm just going to dive. It's an in-depth email, so I'm just going to dive right into the questions. She says, I would really love to hear you address 3 things. Maybe let's just go, I'll read one and then we can talk about it and then we'll see if we get to all 3. I'm sure we will. She said the spiritual issues behind some of the problems we're facing in Christian cultures. Not talking we don't love God like we used to. I mean laziness, excuse making on both husband and wife sides, whining about aches and pains and hard work. The I don't have time and how to prioritize, especially for homeschooling moms. Entitlement, the abundance culture that has made us soft for sure. And the new age, this one new thing is sure to fix all your troubles, is everywhere. Organic foods might help take a load off the body that is having trouble detoxing on its own. But like marriage amplifies the sin problem, so do all of our circumstances. The low hormones and non-organic foods don't cause the sin, but they do amplify it. Fixing the hormones will not fix the sin, and it may minimize it enough that we don't deal with it, but also, please, let's fix the hormones. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
But also,
There's a lot there.
let's all feel better.
Are you done reading?
Yeah, that was number one, and there's a lot there. You know, I hope we can answer this. Well, we can at least try.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact in the email that she's not trying to disconnect the spiritual life from the food. And
well, it's almost like she's trying to connect them. Like she's like making a connection there, which I think is really healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't want to be like, as Christians, we don't want to be atheists when we talk about food or working out or health.
Yeah.
Where we just kind of pretend like God's not really much of a factor when my body doesn't feel well or when my hormones are off whack or whatever, I'm depressed. We don't want to act like it's just a science issue. The Bible, multiple times in scriptures, we find that people got sick or were unhealthy because of their spiritual sin, not just, who knows what they were eating, but Paul talks about that with the Lord's Supper in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, where he says, some of you are eating and drinking to your own demise, to your own unhealthiness. And so we know that food is connected to our walk with the Lord and our spiritual walk with the Lord. And then, but the other part of this is we also want to be the kind of Christians where we aren't, on the other side of this, where we aren't like talking about food as a guilty problem, talking about working out as a guilty problem. We want to be grace driven and not guilt driven when it comes to like, yeah, you should work out. Probably, yeah, you should work out. But you don't want to do it in a way where you're trying to make people feel guilty for not working out. You don't want to change your food habit. You don't want to talk about food in a way that you should feel guilty for eating, some Doritos or whatever. We don't want to do that either. And so, kind of get rid of the atheism, get rid of the Gnosticism out of how you kind of view health and all that stuff. Once you kind of clear up some of that junk, you can much easier kind of understand, okay, where I'm not being thankful, am I depressed, and do I need to confess some sin there, that kind of thing. I think once you kind of clear up some of the debris around it, it's much easier to maybe talk about how's my diet actually contributing to my problems here.
Yeah, I think so. So she says, laziness, excuse making on both husband and wife sides, whining about aches and pains, hard work, I don't have enough time. And then how to prioritize, I assume she means health.
Well, real quick there, I assume
especially homeschooling moms.
She's maybe talking about a little bit like they maybe had some laziness or
just
excuse making about
Yeah, well, I almost, from at least from where I stand and just from the experience I've had working with so many women on this issue, health, it seems to me that most Christians have actually been, is Gnostic the right word? Like almost
agnostic or Gnostic. So Gnostic would be like, hey, spiritual good, material bad.
That's what I'm talking about. That is the right word then. Okay. So I'm like, am I using the right word? Where it's like, I think most Christians are very like, they know like, okay, my spiritual life, I take my family to church. We try to educate our kids, how we're doing spiritually matters, and it does very much. And I think most Christians, whether or not they're doing really well there, they know that is very important, and that needs to be a big focus in their life, and that's part of being a Christian. But I think a lot of Christians, the reason they don't make time or they make excuses or whatever is just because they see health, physical health, as just like not even a thing. Like it's just not that important. That's kind of what I know there's exceptions, but I just haven't seen us put any or very much value on it at all. And if you don't value something, if something is not important to you, you're not going to make time for it. You're not. We're busy people. I don't know a lot of parents who are just like laying around, like moms that are just like, I'm lazy, I'm bored. Like that's rare, I think, especially in our community. So it seems to me that actually we've separated the spiritual walk, the spiritual aspect of our life from the physical. And we've just really not attended to the physical sides of things. But the problem is that, obviously I don't agree with that. I don't think that's what we should be doing. But the problem is once your health gets bad enough, you're gonna have to pay attention to it, and people always do. Once your doctor's like, you now have diabetes, or once both your knees give out because you're so overweight, or once you're bedridden as a mom because your body's falling apart because of all these pregnancies without rehab or whatever. I mean, there's a million examples. Then you care because you can't function, and that's usually when it's like it gets bad enough. Then everybody goes and tries to solve their problems, and that's not a great strategy. Obviously you can start no matter how bad it is. There's usually always a way to work on it. There's usually a way out. It's harder often when you wait that long. It's frustrating, for everybody involved, but it would be a much better approach to prioritize it from the start. But I think generally we will prioritize and not make excuses for the things that we've decided to put value on. Right? And you can put value on things for a good reason or a bad reason. You could be obsessed with the gym and it's all vanity, and that would not be a great reason. Although I do not at all, I always just like to say this, I think it is totally fine to want to look decent for your spouse as a human being. I have no problem. I don't have a problem with aesthetic goals, but I do think people can take it really far, obviously. And you see a lot of the gym culture, but the reason for the value matters. But I mean, your ability to function, your ability to last, your ability to do your job well, be a good parent, be a good spouse. Those are good reasons to be taking care of your health. But I just think that you'll make time for the things that are important to you. And I also will say this, that I think one of the reasons, and then you could chime in on this, one of the reasons that this is an additional thing. It's not the only thing, but I really feel strongly about this. I think one of the reasons moms, like she mentioned, homeschooling moms, I know that this is a challenge because you're not just being a mom and a wife, you're also the teacher. That's like a whole separate side job, I think. I mean, that's how I think of it. That's just that's extra if you're homeschooling.
Well, you don't have like an assistant like Logos, like we have.
Right. Like I feel my life's pretty full just running a household, having 3 kids, and I send them to school. So I can't even imagine. Like that's a lot extra, to be homeschooling. But where was I going with that? Oh, I think one of the reasons that it is such a struggle to prioritize, to make time for, or what have you, is that moms are doing too much. Like we have said, we have all, and maybe dads too, maybe it's a different calculation because dads obviously have to go to work and have to, there's certain things they have to do, but moms have a tendency to build a life for themselves. And you could be a mom with a job outside the house, a mom who it doesn't, a mom is homeschooling, a mom is not, but you find a way to say yes to too many things and your health always, because it does take time. And we've talked about this quite a bit recently. It takes time to strength train. It takes time to shop. It takes time to meal plan. It takes time to work on your cardiovascular fitness, which is very important. You can't cheat time on a lot of these things. They take time. Sleeping enough, that takes time. A lot of these inputs that are very necessary for our health do take time. And there are only 24 hours in a day. So I just think a lot of us are saying yes to too many things all in one season of life. And the health always goes. It just goes. And so some of that is just priorities, but some of it is just like sheer, it's too much. It's too much. So I was on a podcast yesterday and we were talking about this very thing. I feel like we always, moms and dads alike, need to be willing to look at our entire life, our entire schedule, our life, our priorities, what we might consider kind of not optional, kind of this is assumed. You always need to be willing to get rid of stuff. And just that needs to go. Maybe you need a different job. Is this job killing your health? Maybe we need to try to find another job for you. That doesn't always mean you can make that change tomorrow. That's maybe not always possible, but I feel like a lot of women out there need to quit their jobs. I think there's a lot of women out there, honestly, and again, don't be offended. I don't know everybody's personal story, but I think there's a lot of women where you are not in a health state to be homeschooling your kids. You're not. You're a disaster, and if you were really healthy, maybe it would be fine. But as it is, I see situations often where it's your stress is too high, your health is in a really bad place, and you don't have the energy or the bandwidth or the time to take care of yourself, and that's a problem. You want to chime in?
Yeah, this goes back to the kind of the beginning of our conversation here. You could be depressed because you have real sin in your life. Or you could be depressed because, I don't know, your testosterone levels are low.
I know, that's a hard one. Well, maybe it's a little bit of both sometimes.
And often that's probably
what
it is.
It's probably, so you want to make sure you're confessing your sin,
Christians,
obviously.
You should be the clearest thinkers about these things because we know we should be able to analyze what is sin and then what is the maybe objective scientific problem with my body. Those should be in conflict with each other at all. And
Yeah, they're not.
for instance, we can harmonize.
Yeah, they're not in
the
conflict.
Spiritual and the physical and everything. So
I think that's true. It's part of being an adult. I think a Christian, just an adult, also is understanding that lots of things can be true at the same time. And I think a lot of us like kind of have a hard time with that, but a lot of things can be true at the same time. So obviously, your spiritual walk really does matter. I hope we're getting to everything here. I will also say that I think a lot of people, adults, struggle with exercise or eating better or whatever because it's hard. It's hard if it just doesn't come that naturally to you. It's hard if those habits haven't been set. That's another thing we were talking about yesterday. It's just like, man, if you can set these habits with your kids young.
Yeah.
Like set these habits because it's really hard. Sorry, you guys, I have to text my kids are every which way right now. They're like,
it's spring break for them.
When's my hair appointment? When do I pick who up from what park at what birthday party? I just need to make sure I'm saying.
I'll talk about some things.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids had to come first, guys.
and obviously as Christians, we have kind of weighted priorities. We think that the home life is way more important. We think motherhood's way more important. We think that dad needs to be providing for the family and that the mom should not be taking a job to pay the bills, that the dad needs to figure that out, that kind of thing. And so we have these priorities and then, I mean, I felt this for a while. I still feel this. I still, working out is still a challenge in my schedule.
Yeah, you're a good example of this. This is why we were so late to the game with you, because you feel the pull so much. It's hard to be like, and now I'll go to the gym.
And especially, a newly married man, let's say 25, which is what I was, and then you're like in the heaviest part of your career between like 35 and probably 55.
And young kids.
Those responsibility and young kids. And
coaching teams.
And you're building, you have all these investments that don't make money yet, and so your responsibilities and the compelling nature of those responsibilities will definitely push priorities down and lower. And you just got to kind of sort through that in such a way. And the problem with me is like, okay, last September, I figured out I had high blood pressure. So I've been pushing these priorities down for so long, and then high blood pressure pops up and becomes a problem.
Well, that's the problem though, is that you're a good example of this, where it's like it had to get that bad, but it would have been better if we had put these habits in some way, shape, or form into place more consistently earlier so that it didn't get that bad, right? And I'm not saying, none of these issues are laziness issues for you. You literally
but I say
so stressed out and working so hard.
Represent most guys.
Yeah, I think so.
In this, super busy, working hard, like trying to make sure they can be a single income family, so mom can be home.
Yeah, and good on you guys, because she's already got a full time
all those
job.
Things are right, and then you aren't like fat or you aren't like super unhealthy. I mean, you cook well. You've always cooked well.
Right. It wasn't. Nothing was that bad.
Nothing was horrible.
And you were an ex-athlete too. And I think ex-athletes, man, are some of the worst here because they just kind of coast on
a little bit. Yeah.
Everything that used to be the case for you. You know what I mean? Back in 83. But you never had to. Yeah. You're just a skinny basketball player. You never had to worry about it, right?
I do have, dad had diabetes. Dad had high blood pressure. So there's potentially kind of what I'm trying to sort through with the high blood pressure. It could potentially just be like just a genetic thing at some level.
Yeah.
And so, but what it did is also help me. Like, I mean, a friend of mine, Rick Hogebone, passed away yesterday. I don't know if you know.
Oh no, I saw a really sad post about it.
Super sad.
He
was 47 years old.
I'm
46. I'm 46.
Do you know, was it a heart attack?
I don't know yet. But he was in the middle of a talk in public forum and dropped.
That is awful.
But the point is
terrible.
Like whatever we do, I want to do my best in a reasonable, responsible way.
Within reason.
And we've talked about the gym culture. Like you guys got to come to our summit because a lot of this is going to be talked about. But like the gym culture is full of idolatry. The muscle building world's full of idolatry. There's all these ditches over there. In our world, the ditch is different. In the Reformed Presbyterian, cigar smoking,
it's to
beer drinking,
to do nothing.
Beer and Psalms world,
which is also not the answer.
To do nothing.
Yeah, it's not the answer
with our bodies, and so I mean, there's just a lot there.
There is a lot there, yeah.
But I would say overwhelmingly, like just kind of going through these questions and asking yourself, you and your husband, these questions, having, emailing something like this, hopefully you and your husband have had some good conversations on this.
Yeah.
It's like just processing it and kind of revisiting and maybe reprioritizing. It's going to go a long ways, especially if the husband's taking the lead here it really frees the wife up to feel less, to not feel guilty about maybe wanting to go on walks more as a family or something, starting in small places or something.
Or like literally getting a gym membership and
learning how to start in a small place,
learning how to do it, because that's an issue too. The last thing I want to say on this one is she kind of brought up the hormone stuff in this answer. This question. Yeah, sorry, in this question. But I think you need to be right with God. A lot of us have our own specific sins. Women tends towards certain ones, men tend towards certain ones. I guess everybody's individual, but you need to get right with God. You need to be honest about what things that you need to work out with him that would fall under the sin category. And then I think it's also true that hormones, man, are so powerful in our bodies, and God made them that way. It's not like this is separate from God. I mean, he created them. They're messengers in our body that play very, very big roles. So I'll just say, if you are, especially women, because men too. Men usually you're looking, there could be other weird things, but a lot of times testosterone. But if you're feeling like just kind of low, not motivated, like just have no get up and go, have no motivation. It could be a spiritual issue. It could be a lazy issue. But we're Christians. We should both these things work. Check your testosterone. Really. And especially because it's so commonly low right now. And women, I'm sorry, we've got way more hormones than that. that can be, out of whack, or just not, doing their job at all or not existent at all. But low thyroid, that can take you and make you just feel like a crazy person. You know how many women, you guys, are actually just super low thyroid who are put on actual antidepressants? It happens all the time. All the time, because they feel so low, like everything is so low in their body, their mood is so low, and they feel crazy, and it's just terrible. So if you're like, man, I feel like I'm doing well spiritually, but I feel so bad. If you're not sleeping or you have a lot of anxiety, look at your progesterone. Work with someone who can kind of help you with that. If you're super, super low energy all the time, chronic fatigue, check your ferritin. There's so many things that can really actually very heavily affect how you feel. And it just bums me out that this isn't more common knowledge and that we're not kind of just checking these things regularly, because it's so sad to see someone suffer for so long, and not just suffer as an individual, but your entire family unit's going to suffer. If mom can't function, everyone suffers, it's just kind of same with dad. It's just really bad, but it just bums me out that so many people can live so many years with such poor quality of life when it could have possibly been such an easy fix. And hormones are they're not the only thing. And and I think Becky made this point, they don't excuse sin, but they sure can make your life a lot worse, or better. So, and it's all part of God's design. So let's just get with it. Let's learn about them, and let's try to get them where they're supposed to be so that we can feel good. And if you have more questions about that, you guys, I have kind of a standard blood panel if people just ask me and I don't know any extra details about you.
Start here.
Yeah, start here. I have one for women. I have one for men that I think is just baseline. And if you're dealing with major lethargy, maybe personally, I'd say, okay, add a whole full iron panel on or something. But this is just sort of baseline stuff. If I don't know any details about you, just let me know and I'll email it to you. And all you got to do is find a doctor who will pull them. Some doctors, I think they're very basic. I don't think any doctor should be pushed back hard, but some docs are really weird. Some docs won't pull a vitamin D. I don't know why. Or they won't pull a fasted insulin. Again, I don't know why. But you can order online. You can skip the doctor and just go through Quest Labs, there's tons of different options where you can just buy your own labs.
Yeah.
Jason Health is, at least, I've done a little research on this, you guys, not too much, but a little, in terms of where it's the most affordable, because if you get a long list of labs and each one of them is $30, it adds up, but jasonhealth.com, that's pretty darn cheap. You can get any lab that you want there. It's the most affordable option that I've seen, and they just go right through Quest. So you just have to find a Quest lab in your area, which most big cities have a Quest. That's the only thing, is that you have to find a Quest. You can't just go to any lab to get it done. But that's super affordable option if you just don't want to deal with the doctor, which sometimes. So anyways, I'll just put that out there and let me know, you guys, if you're feeling really bad, anxious, sad, low energy. Oftentimes there's a root cause there, and might as well help ourselves out if we can. So anyways, okay. Next one. Nervous system regulation. This is a huge topic right now in the health space. Fight, flight, freeze. and how we'd address that before or after weight training. Does this mimic, exacerbate anxiety? So does the weight training. Are women living in more fear and anxiety now? Probably. Maybe. Does repentance, when required, do more for the nervous system than weight training, deep breathing, and organic foods? I don't mean that literally. I mean for our souls. I'm really curious what would happen to us women as a whole if we realigned and actually submitted in obedience to God. What would happen to us health-wise? Really interesting point. What does the peace that passes all understanding trigger in our health and healing? The releasing control, right? We're Eves. We have control sins, excuse sins, blame shifting sins. That's really well written. That's very insightful. Do you want to say anything, or do you want me to start? That's it. That's number 2. And just note, Gabe, because I know I'm more up to snuff on the health space than you are. Nervous system regulation is really big right now. Tons of doctors talking about it. So basically, it's nervous system, so it's super complex. I don't even think we all understand it all the way. But basically, you have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is like fight or flight. So that's where you go if you're gonna, if you're super stressed or you're playing a basketball game or you're fighting someone or whatever. And then there's parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, is what they would say, where that's where you want to be most of the time. That's where your body can actually like rest. It can calm down. Cortisol, stress hormones come down. And it's very real. I have no, I don't take any issue with the science of it. And it is very true that a lot of women in particular, due to probably some of this stuff, I'm sure thought life, spiritual life can play into this. I think our thoughts 100% affect our physiology. We know they do, but also just overstressed life and overstressed job, stress with the family, trauma, traumatic birth, death in the family, all kinds of things. They can kind of get stuck in that sympathetic nervous system and they can't get out. No. And that's a really bad place to be. And as you can imagine, you can end up with you can really wreck your health. And you can measure this with like cortisol that's through the roof. You can actually measure it with various stress hormones, etc. So just so you know, that's a real conversation right now. I think the modern American lifestyle in general is very, very high stress because we're all trying to do too much all at once. So is a huge exacerbator, but anyways, keep talking.
And again, I think actually the Christian worldview is the only worldview that can really answer these situations in a healthy way. Like the modern kind of health and fitness, world, they got a pill for everything. Everything's like this scientific, pill, I got a pill for this, or whatever your input output. That's the only way they can analyze things is like, oh, you just need to eat better, or you need to take this pill, this depression pill, this anxiety pill, this, that's the health world without God. And the health world with God is we don't have these weird categories where we try to separate spiritual from the physical. We don't try to separate God from our food, And so, I mean, these scenarios, they do take wisdom. They do take, understanding. They do take kind of thoughtful, discernment to be able to analyze, okay, how spiritual of a problem is happening here, and how much of the problem is just maybe just a physical issue. Maybe just mom getting a little more sleep might keep her out of that.
I know.
That category, maybe. I don't know.
I know it's so hard to untangle that stuff. And like sleep is a huge one, you guys. But sometimes also constant worry and a tendency towards anxiety and worry is what causes you to not sleep.
And so, it's
like a vicious cycle.
And this is where like my starting point with someone who's dealing with this is like, well, because this is where Paul starts. Is like, well, how's your prayer life?
Yeah.
It specifically says that, don't be anxious for anything, but in prayer and supplication, make your needs, make your heart's desires known to God.
Yeah.
And that, that'd be my first question is, well, actually, how's your prayer life?
Yeah.
Because that's where, anxiety a lot of anxiety, and probably especially women, probably build up from not having a very good prayer life. And then you kind of walk it out from there, and of course, one of the things that you've stressed so much on our show is try to make your health diagnosis as objective as possible. That's why we push blood panels, because you can see objectively, my hormone levels, or my testosterone's low, my thyroid's out of whack, my blood sugar, you can just kind of, maybe I have cancer. You can, but try to make your health process as objective as possible so you can kind of get outside a little bit of your mind, because you can just build on that worry. That worry gets worse because now you're concerned, I can't figure out the problem. I can't analyze the problem. and then you just get even more worried, more anxious, and then you stop praying even more.
Yeah, I think it's all can be intertwined, and it can be a vicious cycle of one kind of propping up the other. I think if I know that our thoughts affect our physiology. There's Dr. Daniel Amen. I really appreciate him and his work. He's a really famous, I think he's a psychiatrist, but does a lot of brain imaging and scanning and stuff. And one of the things that he talks about, and that I find him interesting because of this, is that his theory is that your thoughts can actually change your brain chemistry, as opposed to the old school
your brain chemistry affects your thoughts.
Exactly. And, I'm no brain expert. I'm not going to pretend that I am. I'm sure that there can become really bad cases sometimes where people need some help to even be able to, but just in general. And I really like that. It lines up more with what the Bible says. If, you know what I mean? And it gives us more agency just in life rather than just being like, I am a victim of the chemicals in my brain. You know what I mean?
Like determinism.
Yeah, or just like there's nothing you can do. Your brain chemistry is off, so just take this drug for the rest of your life. Now, and I struggle though a little bit, because like for any woman,
trans argument, like you're trapped inside
right,
your body. It's not you, it's
right.
who you
He's
are.
real interesting. I don't know that he's a believer or not, but he says real interesting stuff, and I appreciate that. It's a really interesting area of science that I like to listen to him here and there. But I'm torn a little bit, you guys, because from a hormone level, those can really get you. Like for any woman who's experienced the really hard drop off of hormones after a baby is born. And this is often when some women, and I don't even know if we know why, some women are more prone to those postpartum blues or that postpartum depression. If any of you have felt that, it can be very heavy, and you can literally just be sitting there like, I'm the same person I was yesterday. I think I'm doing well spiritually, but I feel so low and I feel so sad, and I couldn't even tell you why. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a scary feeling. And I hate to, I never want to look at a woman like that and just be like, well, you just need to pray more, because like you can actually, there's a hormonal answer to that, and obviously I think you could be in that position and you can handle that well, or you can handle it not well. Right. And we're called to handle things like a Christian, obviously, no matter what we're going through. But it's interesting. I think we do have a lot of agency, but I also think there can be some things at play. So I would just say for this tendency with women to just be really struggling with nervous system regulation, to be maybe worrying with fear, anxiety, definitely get your prayer life where it needs to be. Talk to your spouse, talk to maybe a couple friends that you trust, you feel like have a good handle on you, and just get their input, obviously, just to see what, get that and be humble about it, But I also, for example, if you are hyperthyroid, you are going to be so anxious and shaky, and your heart rate's going to be high, and you're going to feel like you want to crawl out of your skin, for example. And there's really nothing that's going to fix that until you bring your thyroid hormone down. Like that's just, if your adrenals are out of whack or in meltdown, which is true of a lot of women just due to years of chronic stress, you're going to be feeling pretty bad. So I think there are some objective tests that if someone was really struggling and it just didn't seem to make sense, I would get those tests done. I think that's good information. I think that's helpful. And I've certainly run into women who have been in that boat, who have told me, I thought for years I was just an anxious, anxiety-prone person who couldn't calm down and couldn't sleep. But then once I got these things regulated, I wasn't anymore. And so, that's kind of sad, and it's just kind of, so I think there are some objective tests that you can run that I think if there's a persistent problem that no matter how well you're doing spiritually or, if all the other ducks are in a row, I think I would get those done. If for no other reason to at least roll them out. What do you think? I mean, I think that makes sense.
We're like an area, just the example you were working off of is like, this is a great area for your husband to really help you. It's like, yeah, your husband can verify. Yeah, I think you're doing well spiritually. I think you're, and it does seem like you're going through this postpartum in a very, it's a very rough season.
It can be really rough.
And your husband can actually bring a lot of encouragement and say, yeah, let's take you to the doctor. Let's get you a blood panel. Let's get you, some of the help that you maybe physically need.
Yeah.
Versus like just your wife kind of wondering if she's going crazy in her mind.
And women can really get there. And I made a post recently, and this is one of the things I brought up in it, is like, if your wife is feeling really bad, like especially for kind of, it's becoming the norm, for an extended amount of time. Just because a lot of women feel bad and it feels kind of common does not mean it's normal, and it's not okay. Like go get her some help if her energy is so low, if she's so fatigued, if she's brain fogged, if she can't sleep, if her hair is falling out, if she can't lose weight and it doesn't make sense, right? Go get some help for her. Like, go get some help. Like, she can feel better, and she should feel better, and everybody's going to do better if you do it better.
Like I said, I mean, women can also just kind of paralyze themselves to this thing, this frustration or anxiety. And it's like, if the husband's in tune with what's going on, knows her spiritually, been praying with her, knows her prayer life, that kind of thing, and knows that we need to maybe actually figure out some things here. Like, you being involved in helping, encouraging would really help her.
Yeah, women just need that. Women need it. It's just kind of part of we're not that great at taking care of ourselves. We more tendency for whatever, the paralysis. Totally. Yeah. And I think it's hard for men too, because I feel like a lot of men, they don't know that many women. Like, they're not like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not like,
and they don't quite understand how complex.
Yeah, there's some cluelessness there, and some of it is very understandable. I mean, like, a lot of men operate off of...
Doctors don't even know.
No, I know. But a lot of men, like, they know their mom, their experience with their mother, which is why so many men go into marriage, and it's very funny, expecting their wife to do what their mom did a lot of the times. And sometimes, it causes a little friction. It's just like, what? Because that's like the only woman they really felt like they knew. And they just expect that they're all going to be that way. And that's a funny thing. That's you hear that all the time. That like, his mom did that, but I actually, I don't do that or whatever. And then once you're married, besides having daughters, really your wife is kind of the only woman you're close to, or should be. Yeah. So I think it's really easy for a dude to just be like, well, maybe this is just how all women are. Maybe they're all just like tired and sick and fragile, and they just never feel good, or they're crabby all the time. And like, it could be easy to just be like, this is all I know. This is all she knows. I don't have other healthy, vibrant women to compare her to. Also, I don't really want to be comparing her. That feels kind of mean,
All women on Instagram,
everyone's different. Maybe this is just how she is, So that's one of the reasons I try to speak out about this to the men. Like, I try to speak out about this so like, just to give you guys just a little bit of a light bulb moment. Like, hey, if this is what she's experiencing, that is not normal, and that is not healthy, and it's usually fixable. So, anyways, I just want to throw that there. Okay, I think we got. Sorry, Becky, we're all over the place. I hope this is so helpful. Okay. Finally, this will be short. Okay, finally, minerals and their roles in our health. What are the nutrient-dense foods that everybody talks about but no one seems to list? That's funny. I guess we don't list them that often. How do trace minerals help our bodies? Good question. I mean, food is a huge input. It absolutely is. Let's talk about that first. So, at least for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm sure most people would have a similar answer. When I say whole nutrient-dense foods, I'm just talking mostly whole foods, which for the most part are going to be by nature more nutrient-dense. Like a whole egg, very nutrient-dense. An avocado, very nutrient-dense. Organic spinach, pretty nutrient-dense. As opposed to heavily processed, packaged type foods, which not only have a bunch of ingredients in them often that we can't barely pronounce and are not going to be a big health input into our body. I don't think it's wrong. It's not a health food, but also they're going to be fairly nutrient deficient. Like, you're just not going to find many nutrients in, I don't know, Cocoa Puffs. Like, you know what I mean? And they kind of try, they'll fortify foods with things like fortified with vitamin D or fortified with folic acid, which actually is not good. Don't eat folic acid. But you can see the government has come in and tried to put nutrients back into food. But really, you guys, don't fall for it. You're better off just eating whole food. So, I mean, again, it's obvious stuff, but meat, is, a lot of meat. I would say go for as high quality meat as you can. This is a hard one because it is expensive. If you have a big family, man, I mean, we just have 3 kids, and sometimes I'm like, Annie, don't yell at the kids. They're just, they're hungry. I'll make like a full crock pot of meat, and like I will plan on being able to use that again the next day, and it is just gone. And I'm just like, why are you eating so much? They just eat a lot. They're hungry and they eat a lot, which is a good thing. But it gets expensive, you know, and so trying to buy organic or trying to buy, I just say anytime you can, try to buy from someone local. And that also supports your local farmers, which I think is fantastic. You know, try to do that. And then beyond that, whatever you're going to be eating the most of, like a lot of people, this isn't us as much because you're a big griller, but a lot of moms, for example, lean really hard on ground beef. They just use it a lot. It goes in everything, chili, hamburgers. Like, yes. And I totally, great idea, you know, like, and if that's like the thing you guys are ingesting 4 times a week on average, maybe go higher quality on that one because you're eating more of it. That's my best advice there. You know, I know it's hard and meat alone is expensive and the kids just won't stop eating. So, you know, it's hard. But yeah, so meat, as much variety in the meat as you can. Try not to just fixate on one kind. Try to mix it up. Seafood is fantastic. Poultry is great. Red meat, I love it. Like, just try to mix it up as much as you can. And then obviously as many fruits and vegetables as you can get into your diet. I think it's easier to eat fruit because it's a little tastier, it's a little sweeter. You can just eat it by itself. And I have no issue with fruit as far as carbs go. But man, I think a lot of us are veggie deplete. We just don't get enough. We don't get the variety. And again, try to shop your local farmer's market if you can. I mean, there's no downside there. I mean, do it if you can. But, you know, rinse your food. Even if it's not, just try to get as many veggies, that fermentable fiber in your gut as you can. And just really what they say, shop the rainbow. And I mean that, like all the different colors, try to get it all in. Certain nuts and seeds are great.
Never heard that.
High quality, you haven't, it's like, no one has ever said that to me. High quality dairy, if you can tolerate it, I love it. I think there's tons of health benefits to dairy, tons of nutrients in there. The unfortunate thing is that we have a food grade issue with dairy. There's really good quality and there's really low quality. And then we have a lot of guts that cannot handle dairy. Like we can't at all. So yeah, I mean, just eat whole food as much as you can. And I mean, honestly, if just mostly whole food was most of your diet, most of the time, 80% of the time, whatever, most Americans would be doing so good. Like that's actually like we'd be ahead of we'd be ahead of the game.
It's funny. I was just at lunch with a guy talking about this, and here's my unscientific analysis.
I love these
of all these of this. Is we live in a world where a lot of our food that you get at the grocery market has all sorts of additives and, you know,
GMO,
MSGs, all that stuff, you know, kind of thing. And
glyphosate,
and some of it,
glyphosate's a big one.
And some of it is basically required by the government. Like you got to have like all the preservatives that they put in our food is because you got to have X amount of shelf life that the government requires depending on the product.
Can you tell that story? Or do you not want to tell it? The one of just the shelf life story that you told me from one of our sponsors, or do you not want to share it?
Oh,
it's just a really good illustration.
Yeah. Here's a good illustration. Our
I don't know why they wouldn't want
our elderberry sponsor. You got to support them.
King's, what is it?
The King's elderberry.
Guys, no, is it King's? That's
it. King's Ridge elderberry.
King's Ridge, Faith. Guys, it is so good. I am obsessed with it. It is. Keep go ahead.
We'll play it at the very beginning of the show.
I'm obsessed with that. It's so good.
And he was just telling me, it's like, man, my product, like as it's made and itself has like a year or two shelf life. I forget the actual
which is interesting
time frame he gave me. Yeah. He said, but I can't get it in the standard supermarket store because it doesn't have the preservatives that they want to be able to hit the shelf life the way they want to hit the shelf.
Which is like, isn't that dumb? Like
it's super crazy.
That's really.
But the point is like the government has required like these additional preservative stuff to be put in your food. And I mean, if I'm going to space, I want preservatives in my food.
Sure.
You know, it's like,
sure.
So it's all in all our food. And so our body is not only trying to digest just the standard food and stuff, but then we got all these additional preservatives that are meant to be preservatives in your body.
I know
that you got to fight off.
That's theory. I mean, you can be trained to that. I mean, who knows what all these things are going toward, but especially compounding food.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Our bodies are not like we have livers, we can detox that we're supposed to, right? So I feel like we can handle
a lot of stuff. We can.
Some not good things some of the time, but I think it's just constantly barraged. We're just this is more of the reasons are one of the reasons that Americans health is so good now is because it's just been constant.
That's right. And I don't have a problem. My favorite bag of chips is Cool Ranch Doritos. Or the lime chips for dipping, the lime, whatever, hint of lime, anything with a hint of lime in it, please feed me. And so I don't have a problem with that, but that's become the norm of how we eat. That's why if you kind of think back to, simplify things, like what Annie was saying, it's like kind of nutrient-dense food, whole foods, stuff like that, meat, potatoes, and vegetables. I mean, basically God gave that. He gave us fruit and vegetables in the garden and herbs and all that stuff. And then when Adam and Eve fell and sinned, and God killed meat. Those are basic, good whole foods to have to kind of dominate most of your diet. And of course, there's people who are allergic to this and this, and we can't address every situation. But the point is like eat more in a way that is maybe not plugging us full of preservatives and full of this additional kind of government acquired engineered food. And I think this is just a basic step, and you'll feel a lot better and be able to. I mean, you won't be eating as much. That's funny because you eat one Dorito, you want more. It was designed that way, but that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So
okay, I just realized we forgot something in the other one, but let's
okay, we got 5 minutes.
Finish up with the trace minerals really fast. Trace minerals, Becky, are just like very essential nutrients that our body needs, but we only need them in little trace amounts, small amounts. So these aren't the big ones. These are small things like iodine, selenium, molybdenum, like those sorts of things. Zinc, copper. Those are all examples where we do need them, and they're essential, but we just need small little amounts. Now, I think they're important. Now, some of the ones I just listed off, selenium, iodine, zinc, those are, among other things, very important to thyroid health. And one of the reasons that we see, not the only, but one of the reasons that we see so many sluggish, underactive thyroids is that we are not, one way or another, getting these trace minerals in our diets. We're just not. So, and I think supplementing them makes sense. At any thyroid supplement that's a thyroid, like usually they're called T4 to T3 conversion supplements. They have those exact things, selenium, zinc, usually magnesium, or other things, because that's what the thyroid needs, and we're just not getting them. So you can just go any supplement brand like Pure Encapsulations that you trust. They'll have one. Just trace minerals. And you can just take it. And I like us to get as much as we can get from our food and not be like taking tablets and supplements. I think a trace mineral, you really can't go wrong. And I think our food is more deplete and our soil is more deplete than it used to be. So I think you probably are going to struggle, even if you're eating pretty well, to get all of those things in. So a trace mineral supplement is probably a good idea. And like I said, helps with thyroid health. Hormone production, metabolism, oxygen transport, they're pretty important. So yeah, I'm glad that you asked that. And then I just wanted to say the last thing when we were talking about, I skipped it. I don't know why. Nervous system dysregulation. Like how do we address this before or after weight training? Does this mimic or exacerbate anxiety? And I think you're asking about weight training there. So if there was a really, really, really bad case of someone who's like adrenaline is pumping nonstop and it's like bad, and you are like seeing a doctor and there's something wrong with your adrenal that is not good, maybe it would be good practice to pin any kind of formal exercise besides maybe walking around in the sun a little bit, just for a bit, just because your body is doing so bad. But I would just say in general, if we're just talking about a general, maybe overstressed mom body, which is most mom bodies, appropriately done strength training, and that's the key, is appropriately done, is very low stress on the body. And the reason is that what we're talking about is lifting something very heavy 3 to 5 times, setting it down, and then resting for 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's real strength training. Okay, so quick stress when you're lifting the thing a few times with good form, ideally, set it down, rest. Pretty dang low stress. What the problem is that high intensity strength training, you guys have heard my soapbox on this, has been marketed so hard to women that most of us, unless we know better, and hopefully most of my listeners do by now, and that's one of the goals here, when they think strength training, they're like, oh, HIIT class, push-ups, fall
boot camp,
and your heart rate is through the roof, and there's burpees in there, but maybe there's some rowing, and even you could even not have actually cardiovascular movements. You could have actually just strength training movements, lighter weight, higher reps, no breaks. That's stressful. That's stressful. So, I just want to be clear about that. I think that even if your stress management needs some work and your body is, I always tell women, even if they're in that boat, strength train, but like truly strength train, which is quite low stress, and walk. And I don't let them move on from that to any other more higher intensity forms of exercise until that stress and that nervous system, and all these issues and your adrenals are doing a little bit better. A lot of times It is thought life and it's sleep. I'm not saying that's true for everybody. Some of you maybe got some thyroid stuff. Some of you maybe need progesterone at night, or you can't sleep and you can be high anxiety because of that. Sometimes it's a combination of all these things, but I will say 2 biggies on the eye chart are thought life, bad habits that you've got to break, and that you need to sleep more. And some women have to actually overdo it on the sleep for a season, 10 hours, which is crazy, in order to really rest and recover and heal. Then they can move back to what would be normal. I will say that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you share the show with your friends. Really appreciate that. It helps us and hopefully it helps your friends. And so thank you for tuning in to Waterbreak. And for those, we can't wait to see you at our summit. And we'll see you in another week.
Yeah, and thank you, Becky, for the right questions. Bye, guys.